Okay, I'm live. I got an error message, but now I'm live. Okay, let's start. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me today, whether you're catching me live or you're catching the replay. I appreciate you being here. So, my name is Lou Parika. I am your host, and I am a mindset mentor. And what I do is I help real estate professionals shift the way they think so they can create freedom in their careers, their finances, and in their life, both professionally and personally. So, today, our training is knowing is not enough, and results come from the doing. So, this is called the knowing doing gap in my program. And what it's going to help you do is it's going to help you understand why we're not doing the things that we already know how to do and that would benefit us both professionally and personally. So, this is such a great lesson. This will take a lot of the guilt off of yourself, and I know it did for me. So, we all have gathered lots and lots of information in our lives, but the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today will help you solve a problem that most people take to their graves. This is going to bring you some clarity as to why you're not implementing and taking action on what you already know. This was an eye opener for me. And again, it stopped me from beating myself up when I learned about the knowing doing gap and what paradigms are. And then everything in my life started to shift. So for today, as with always, I ask you to have an open mind. Your attitude is everything. So I ask you again just to consider the information that you'll be hearing. Okay. You don't have to judge it, just consider it. So let's get started. Let me just take a little sip. Thank you. So here is two examples of what the knowing doing gap is. Okay. Number one, and this one many of us have experienced, we want to release some weight. Hmm. We know, we know that we need to maybe cut back on calories. Perhaps, start to exercise. But then we go to a party or it's the holidays and we start eating. And then maybe someone comes up and says, "Hey, I thought you were on a diet." And you're like, "Yep, I am, but I'm going to start again tomorrow. I'm back on track tomorrow," right? Here's another one. You just finished a great workshop, right? You learned how to attract more leads, how to always get the listing, how to get the prospect to say yes, et cetera, right? And you're all fired up. It was an awesome workshop. The trainer was excellent, and you can't wait to start. You are so motivated. So the next day, you're going to put together a plan, you're going to time block, you're focused, you put up the do not disturb sign on your office door. You're looking over the notes you've taken and you're ready. You're ready. Then maybe you feel a little reluctant, right? A feeling of anxiety may come over you, but maybe you push through that day. Maybe. But what about the second day or the third day? Now you've come to a stop. What happened? You were so motivated. You were ready to go, right? You were all charged up. And this is something that we all experience in one way or another, right? So there's a big, big difference between what we know and what we actually do. And this is what happens. So since our early years, when we were raised, we were conditioned to focus on taking on information, memorizing it, right? We would probably be tested on it to see how much we could remember. But little attention was given to organizing and implementing what we learned. So nowadays, there's so much information at our fingertips, right? All you have to do is, go online and click a button. So what you know isn't nearly as important as what you do. And we can all ask ourselves this: how many books, trainings, webinars, seminars, workshops did I attend this year? How many? Right? And then ask yourself, did I apply anything? See, I talk about this because this was me. This was me. I can't tell you how many trainings I went to and workshops and how many books I've read. And I would get all fired up. And I was the one that put the do not disturb sign on my office door, only to find within a couple of days I was not implementing what I had learned. So, this is why people struggle with the knowing doing gap, right? This is what you know, and then what you're doing. There is a gap in between. So, number one, and I talked about it last week or a couple of weeks ago, not uncovering what you would really love. What do you really, really want? And making that a worthy goal. Like I said, we discussed it a couple of weeks ago, because having a worthy goal that you're committed to helps keep you focused. It stops you from drifting, and it helps you drown out the outside distractions and the noise. This is the number one thing to start with. And I gave you a couple of ways to start really, again, uncovering or discovering what it is that really lights you up. Right. So, number two, again, I was in real estate for many years, easily distracted by all the shiny objects, right? So, real estate professionals, they're constantly being enticed by new strategies, new technology, uh, easier way to get clients, and the list just goes on and on and on. Again, distraction from your goals and the action steps necessary to work towards your worthy goal. Think about social media. It's training us, even though I know I'm on social media now, it's actually training us to be distracted, and we're losing our ability to keep our attention span, to concentrate. Think about it, right? How often, I don't go on TikTok or anything, but I think they're quick videos, I believe, right? Quick, quick, quick. You're on to the next thing. You're on to the next thing. Even with Facebook, those stories, on to the next, on to the next. And this, without you even realizing, is conditioning you and me, right? Number three, not understanding why you are not applying all the knowledge that you already have, and thinking more knowledge and training is going to help you. Again, we were taught this in our early life, gathering more information and more information. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It may for some of you, maybe not all. So, when we were kids, perhaps there was an adult in our life, and when we did or didn't do something, maybe they gave us a little bit of a hard time, and it kind of went a little bit like this: why did you do that? And you would say, I don't know. Well, you know better. Yeah, I know. How many times do I have to tell you? Well, I don't know. And this kind of made us feel bad, right? Maybe you said to yourself, again, remember, we're children now. You got to go back into your child mind. Maybe you said to yourself, well, you know, maybe I'm stupid. I can't do anything right. And these early thoughts and feelings left an impression on the subconscious mind, which has actually stayed with us all these years. We're doing things that we don't want to do, and we're getting results that we don't want to get, yet we do them anyway, right? So now we're adults, and we get down on ourselves when we don't do what we know we should be doing. We should all over ourselves. And we become very frustrated and give up, only to start all over again and saying to ourselves, I'm going to stick to it this time. I used to do this many, many times. So, why do we do or don't do what we know is in our best interest? And the answer lies in paradigms. So, this may be a new word to you, but if you've listened to my past trainings, you've heard me talk about paradigms all the time. They're extremely powerful, and I highly recommend you get to understand and know what they are because they control us. So, a paradigm is a mental program in a section in our subconscious mind that gathers habits. It causes a person to do or not do something without any conscious thought. Driving a car, driving to work, right? Brushing your teeth. These are all habits. We're all doing these things unconsciously. How many of us have left our house, driven to wherever, an office, or your friend's house, and you don't even remember how you got there? You just got there, right? Your subconscious mind was on autopilot. But paradigms, they affect our income, our use of time, our productivity, our health, our weight, our relationships, our self image, how we view the world. And here's an important one, especially if you're in real estate, right? Our belief about salespeople. What were your earliest memories of salespeople? What did you hear about them? That left an impression on the subconscious mind. And the paradigms are what causes our habitual behavior. And most of these habits, again, were programmed in us as little children from the environment that we were raised in. And this is why we must go to the root cause if we want change. So get ready because I'm about to go into our mind. All right. So I have a little stick person here. Okay. I'm going to be using this to illustrate the conscious and subconscious mind. So there are two parts of the mind that I want to share with you that will bring some clarity as to why you do or don't do the things that you already know how to do. So let me just introduce to you the stick person. I used to try to draw on a whiteboard and I just ordered this and I'm so excited that I received this. So the mind is one of the most powerful forces ever created. And we all have a mind. But the mind is not a noun, it's not a thing, it's a process, it's activity. And the mind is in every cell of your body. But because no one's ever seen the mind and we all think in pictures, there was a doctor named Thurman Fleet back in 1934 who was a chiropractor. And he knew that we had a problem, a health problem. We were always trying to fix the symptoms and we never went to the root cause, which is the mind. The mind is the root cause of all our behavior and things like that. So because no one's ever seen the mind, he decided to create this image of the stick person. This is probably the most powerful image that you will ever learn. If you keep this image in your mind, right, this picture, you will start to have so much more clarity on what you do or don't do. Not only you, this is everyone. This is every human being here. Okay. So again, this little stick person is just an image to represent the mind. Again, we think in pictures. So this top half, because a lot of times in my trainings, you'll see me do this, and this is what I'm referring to. I'm not even going to get into these intent. We're going to just stick to the conscious mind, which is the top half of the mind, and the subconscious mind, which is the bottom half of the mind. Again, I typically do this. And of course, this is the body. And you see a heart here and you see a heart here, and I'll explain why. So the conscious mind, This is the part of the mind where we gather the information. It's our thinking mind, our educated mind. It can accept or reject ideas, it can originate ideas. This is where our free will is located, and we get to choose what we believe or don't believe. Okay? This part is the subconscious mind. This is the doing part of our mind. This is the knowing part. This is the doing part of our mind. This is the part um, where our mental programming is, the paradigms. Okay, this is our emotional mind. This is why there's a heart here and a heart here. When you break the word down, emotional, I want you to think of the E as energy and motion. So it's energy in motion. The mind expresses itself through the body. The body can't do anything without the mind telling it to do. Okay. This part of the mind, again, is where our programming is. It's our emotional mind. It cannot reject. It must accept whatever is impressed upon it. It cannot tell the difference between what is real or what is imagined. So when you're thinking thoughts over and over, unless you become emotionally involved with the thought, nothing happens. It just stays up here. This is where all the information just hangs out, right? I use the example of a home buyer. Somebody wants to buy a home, right? They've been thinking about it and thinking about it, right? The idea's been floating around, but until they get emotionally involved with the idea, right? Oh, I want to buy a house. Oh, that's awesome. And now they just got a letter from their landlord. They have to move out. Now they're really starting to think about it. They're really thinking about it. They're thinking more and more. Maybe it'd be really nice to have our own home. Maybe it'd be really nice if we didn't always have to worry about, the landlord raising the rent or kicking us out. It would be really nice to have roots in a community. It would be really nice to have our family over for the holidays. It'd be really nice. We'd love it if we could paint the walls the color that we want to paint. See, now they're getting emotionally involved with the idea. Before it was just kind of floating up here. Now they're emotionally involved with the idea. And it's that emotion that puts the body into action. So now this is when they pick up the phone and they'll call you. They're going to call a realtor. Geez, we're really, been thinking about buying a home. We don't know what to do. But that process, that action step of picking up the phone was because they became emotionally involved with the idea, and it puts the body into action, right? So again, our body is the vehicle through which the mind expresses itself. The mind is the root of all behavior. So our subconscious mind is running us 96 to 98% of our day to day unconsciously. Think about your morning routine. You're showering, you're brushing your teeth, you're making breakfast, when you drive to work. All of these are done unconsciously through the body as habitual behavior. So the knowing doing gap, the gap is the paradigm. And that is what causes the frustration, because you can be, and I always use the example of a top producer, whether that's your goal or not, but I use that for an example. You know everything there is to know, right? You know how to do a sales presentation, you know how to go into a listing appointment, you know how to handle objections, right? You know all of this stuff, but why aren't you doing it? Again, remember the subconscious mind, your beliefs. What do you believe about salespeople? Most likely, that is probably what is stopping you from prospecting. I don't want to bother anybody. They're at work. No one wants to hear from me. These are all been programmed into you. And this is, even though you want it and that program is running you, running all of us. Okay. So, what is the solution? So I'll give you, and this, I can go really deep into this, but we're limited for time. So the solution is we need to create new thoughts about what we want. This takes conscious effort. This is why when I suggested that you go into a quiet room, put on some soft music, get your notepad out, and really think about what you want. This is the thinking mind, the educated mind. Okay. Think about the type of person that you want to be. See, you get to choose. When we're babies, when we're infants, all information was dumped into our subconscious mind. This is how we became programmed and conditioned. This part of the mind wasn't really developed yet. So everything is being dumped into the subconscious mind. We were recording conversations, thoughts, behaviors. This is how we picked up our programming. Um, where was I? Okay. So ask yourself, who do I want to be? Again, the self image lives here. That self image that we all have was handed down to us. But you actually get to choose who you want to be. You get to write the rules of how you want to live. So you want to think about the type of person that you want to be, and then ask yourself, what habits do I need to develop and impress upon the doing part of my mind? It's like planting a seed, just like the home buyer, right? Planting the seed, becoming emotionally involved with this new idea. And this is done through repetition and emotion. And this is what happens. This is how you establish new beliefs, new habits, and new behaviors. I use the example when our parents or our adults were telling us to brush our teeth. What did they say? Your teeth would fall out, right? And they would repeat this over and over. And they instilled that emotion of fear of the teeth falling out, right? So between the repetition and the emotion, you started to develop a new habit. And this is how it's done, right? I didn't know this. So this is why this was the most important thing I've ever learned, this stick person, because now I have clarity. I have an image of how the mind works. Um, so now you do it unconsciously. You're just brushing your teeth, right? Um, this is why. So just knowing is not enough. Again, this is what I talked about, right? Just having the information is here is not enough. It's the combination of both. You must impress what you want into the subconscious mind. You must impress the person that you are choosing to be through repetition and emotion. And what happens is this new image will be expressed through the body, through your behavior or actions. So if you want to be a top producer, let's just say maybe you're stuck, or maybe you are a top producer. Maybe you want to be a bigger producer. It doesn't really matter what it is, but someone's already doing it, and there's no reason why you can't do it or I can't do something. We can all do it, but it's the paradigm and the beliefs that hold us back. When you start impressing the image of, let's say, the top producer, and you become emotionally involved in this new image, and you're visualizing what it would be like, and you can feel what it's like, you will start to notice that you walk differently. Your shoulders are back, your head is up higher. Perhaps when you shake someone's hand, you're shaking their hand a lot more confidently. Perhaps when you go on a listing appointment, you're speaking with a lot more confidence and ease. This is because the subconscious mind is just taking on a new image of who you are, and the actions become natural. The prospecting, again, fall in love with the idea that you are a great salesperson. You are selling for someone, not to someone. Everyone is selling all day long, whether it's an idea, a product, or a service. But when you sell something for someone, it is helping them, it's benefiting their life in some way. So the bottom line really is it's the self image and the self worth what is really holding us back from the doing. We cannot outperform our self image. We cannot outperform our beliefs. We must start evaluating our beliefs. I never did that before. I just had beliefs. I never questioned them. I didn't ask where they came from. I didn't ask if they were even true. I just kind of fell in line, right? Like most of us, we've become so automated, right? The perception of the current self image that you have must be replaced with the image of the person, again, that you choose to be to achieve what you would love and start behaving like that person. When you impress that image with the emotion over and over, you will start behaving naturally as that person. Again, you'll start talking like that person and you'll start taking inspired action instead of forced action, which is very short lived. That's why it's be, do, have. Right? And a common error that many of us do is we try to change the results, the effect. You are the cause. I am the cause. Our effects, our results are the effects. It's the law, it's the universal law of cause and effect. But we can't change the results, right, that we're getting. We must change the behavior. We must go to the root cause. And it's just, I use the example of like looking in a mirror. All our results are effects. They're just a reflection of who we are. So if I'm looking in a mirror, it's a reflection of who I am, and I want to put on lipstick, it's like changing the results is like trying, it's like putting the lipstick on the mirror, on the image, instead of on the cause. So I hope that makes sense. We must go to the root cause of the behavior, and that is through the mind if we're looking to have any type of permanent results. So as I wrap this up, I just want to leave you with this. We own our beliefs and our habits, and we are the only ones who can change them. But it takes support. Going it alone will leave you frustrated, and eventually you give up on trying and end up back at square one. How many of us have done this, right? We do it by habit. When working with and understanding the mind, it takes accountability and support. Every time we say we're going to do something and don't do it, we are leaving an impression. We are strengthening that paradigm, our self image. We're strengthening it. And the paradigm says, you're not going to do that. You know that. And this is why we come up with all kinds of excuses. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this training and I hope you learned something very new today. And if the knowing doing gap is stopping you from doing the action steps that you know are necessary to be, do, and have what you want to achieve, then reach out to me for a no obligation call and let's see how we can help you. In the meantime, if you know of anyone that you believe these trainings would benefit, please have them join our Facebook community, Empowered Life with Lou, and we'd love to have them there. I thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Have an awesome day. Thank you.